All right, our next lightning talk is going to be by Steve about future you.
And it will help if I unmute myself. All right, so future you is kind of a looking ahead at life after being a teen, or at least the later years of being a teen. And we've put together a whole series in partnership with University of Dayton, which is in our area. And you may be able to set something up virtually if you don't have a college near you. But for the, we kind of split the future you into two different parts. The first part is the college and career, which is what we do with the Dayton or the University of Dayton. And we have a whole series of those, and I will post all these on the website. But under college and career, we do programs on like a crash course for getting ready for college, just a Q&A session with the person from UD who is able to just answer any questions that you or your parents may have. We do one on what to expect in a dorm and how that will differ from your life before a dorm. FAFSA and financial aid, scholarships, because there truly is a scholarship for everything. There's even a zombie apocalypse scholarship. You have to write in 250 words or less. If there was a zombie apocalypse, where would you go and what would you bring? Now you're competing they get about 10,000 entries for each year for a single $2,000 scholarship. So chances are slim for that one. But there are other scholarships that might get 1 or 2 applicants. So you'd have much higher chances there. We go over the admissions process, creating a college timeline for yourself, like through high school and into college, what you have to do and when you have to do it, so that you're not missing deadlines and things like that. We do essay writing, like how to write a good admissions essay, interview skills, whether it be for a college interview or a job interview, finding your perfect career. So on kind of taking some interest inventories and deciding what career would be best for you that fits your interests. And you can even match that with what colleges offer that particular degree, and resume writing or application processes. The other half of it is what I call Adulting 101. It's not my own term, so I can't take credit for it. It's a great term, but I did not make it up. I just stole it. I mean, borrowed it. And this can be anything from laundry and cleaning tips to basic car repair, like how do you change a tire? How do you check your fluids or change your oil? Easy cooking ideas, recipes for things you can do with very little equipment. You know, not everybody has, like my kitchen, an air fryer and a bread machine and, you know, toaster and microwave and griddle and waffle iron, and God only knows what else is in the dusty cabinet above the refrigerator. But like, I like to do things you can do on a griddle, because you can also do that you can do it on a griddle. You can do it on a pan on the stove. You know, there's different options there. Some different things you can mix and just cook in the microwave that are healthier options than some of the frozen TV dinners and less expensive as well. It can be financial literacy. So how do you save money and still pay all your bills? You know, how do you balance a checkbook? How do you open a checking account? Different things like that. It can be, searching for a job that's right for you, creating a LinkedIn page, anything like that. So, some of these you can find community helpers to help with. Most colleges are pretty open to doing some kind of visit, even if it's just like a, hey, could you log in virtually and do a Q&A session with my teams? And we're just going to set up this like hour and a half time frame, and they can just ask you whatever they want to ask you to get whatever information they need. You can even reach out to like car part stores. Somebody told me that they reached out to the car part store that has an orange sign, and I don't remember it. But anyway, they came and they actually taught how to change a tire and check your oil and stuff. That's future you in a nutshell.
I think you meant AutoZone, maybe.
Yes, AutoZone. You can tell how often I buy car parts. I know how to check my oil, but I don't do it because the car tells me when I need oil. And yeah, I fill washer fluid. I can change a tire, but pretty much all I do is fill my washer fluid.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. All right, I'm going to talk.
If I can jump in real quick, to answer Sophie's question, I don't necessarily work with Sinclair also, but UD, the lady from UD does not do anything specific to University of Dayton. Everything she does is just generalized for colleges. So it's not like a sales pitch for that particular university. She makes it stuff that apply to everything. And like with our tools for the finding your perfect career, it actually will match you with careers that don't require further education, that require like a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree, a master's degree. Like you can set it for whatever you want to find careers in. I'll shut up now.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to take a few minutes and I'm going to talk about a game that I always play in my teen programs. It's called Zapped, and I stole it from some teacher online. It's been years and years ago, so I don't know the original credit. But the idea is that it's a trivia game. So you come up with a set of questions. It can be, so my board here has 18 envelopes. So I would need to make at least 18 questions, probably like 25, just in case they get a trivia question wrong. And it can be about any set of trivia questions. So like I've used this for book clubs. I've used it for my like one-shot programs, my teen advisory group. So any kind of like trivia questions that you want to create. And then you'll ask the questions just like you normally would in a trivia contest. So like, what's the capital of Ohio? And if they get the question right, then they come up to the board. Well, they get a point for the question that they got right. And then they come up to the board and they choose an envelope. And whatever envelope they choose, they have to follow the directions. So this envelope here says switch scores. So if the team got 1 point for their the right question, and the other team doesn't have any points, then it's going to switch their scores. So their team is going to have 0 and the other team is going to have 1. And then you just go down the list of questions and then assign scores and then follow the directions on each of these envelopes. The directions include that one, switch scores. It could be add 2 scores to your team. It could be add 2 points to the other team. It could be zap your team, which means that your team goes to 0, or zap the other team, or whatever kind of instructions that you want for the point value. So it switches up the idea of trivia, and it means that not necessarily the team that knows the most will win. It could be anybody's game. That was really fast. Does anybody have any questions about that? I can put the directions on the website and send them out later.
That was faster than me, Caitlin. Way to go.
All right.
Oh, sorry, I had a quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are the questions in the envelopes as well as the directions? Or do
No,
you
so-
just have a list of them?
Yeah, I just print out a list of questions and then the answers for the trivia. And then the only thing that are in the envelopes are the directions for the scores. Okay, so I'm going to pass it off to Janet, and Janet is going to talk for 15 minutes about burnout and self-care, or avoiding burnout.
Oh no, oh no. Hi, everybody. I'm Janet Ingraham-Dwyer. I'm the Youth Services Consultant at the State Library of Ohio. She, her pronouns. And yeah, our dear friends at Teen Think Tank asked me to come and talk for a bit about avoiding burnout and about self-care, because they mistakenly have the impression that I'm good at this, or that I know things about it. We've been in a pandemic. You might have heard, you've been working public service through a pandemic for just about 2 years now. So I suspect that the avoiding burnout train has left the station a long time ago. So I'm mostly going to talk about recognizing and dealing with burnout. And I'll talk a little bit about avoiding burnout if you've been lucky enough, although if you've avoided it this far, you probably aren't going to need my help with it. Somebody you care about is experiencing burnout if you aren't. So hopefully this will be of some interest and use to everybody. Let me give a couple of disclaimers. I am not a medical professional and I'm not a mental health expert. Burnout is not a medical condition, but a lot of the things that you experience when you experience burnout are similar to physical and mental signs of other kinds of medical conditions. I'm just a regular overcommitted library worker like you who is learning how to accommodate burnout myself. I'm going to be speaking generally and probably use you and we a lot, but I don't presume to speak for anybody here except myself or to have any special insight into your situation. And in a further bait and switch, I'm not really going to talk about self-care all that much as far as practices like yoga and meditation, mindfulness, relaxation, treating yourself. Those are important, my friends, and you deserve them. But I feel uneasy about how we, generally our society, seems to pair the concepts of burnout and self-care all the time. I don't think that these practices cure burnout. I think they provide a brief respite, which is valuable. I think they can also backfire by lulling us into thinking that we're addressing the root issue by doing our self-care practices, which we are not. Self-care practices can backfire by becoming one more thing to keep up with and feel guilty if we don't, which if you're already experiencing burnout is not helpful. And honestly, focusing on self-care as a response to burnout implies that if you just treated yourself better, you would get over it, which is not. It's just not. Burnout is a specific kind of stress that you may be feeling. It is chronic. It is unrelieved. It causes a person to feel physically and emotionally drained. This is the happy part of Teen Think Tank. I hope y'all are smiling. We get a little dark, but this is burnout. Burnout can make a person feel like they can't be productive or as efficient or as effective at work as they had been accustomed to being. Burnout is workplace related. It can be exacerbated by stresses at home or relationship issues or financial issues or any kind of factors, and those factors can combine. But burnout is mostly caused by an unsustainable workload. Things like unreasonable expectations or a toxic workplace environment. For instance, a workplace where you were told that your lunch is disgusting, that contributes, my friends. But unsustainable workload is kind of like the number one with a bullet reason for burnout. This is what it looks and feels like. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm a librarian, so I looked this stuff up. If you're experiencing burnout, you may feel exhausted. You may feel pessimistic, disengaged, ineffective. You may even feel resentful at work. You may be unmotivated and let your quality of work slip, which can create a vicious cycle because then you're like, oh, I really did a sucky job at that, so I feel worse. And then I do a worse job at that. You might be experiencing insomnia and or nightmares, or these things might be getting worse if you, like me, have had them for a long time already. Chronic stress can really mess with your body's ability to regulate sleep. You may feel more emotional than you used to feel, especially emotions like sadness, anger, impatience, frustration, all the negative emotions. Of course, when I say more emotional, don't expect burnout to make you feel more jubilant and happy a lot of the time. Ain't happening. You could be vulnerable to physical ailments. You could get sick more often with headaches, stomach aches, nausea, changes in appetite, eating more, eating less. If you're experiencing some combination of these things, you may be experiencing burnout. Not everybody experiencing burnout has all these experiences. And like I mentioned before, and I'm still not a medical professional, those kinds of things can point to many other things besides burnout, including medical issues that may need attention. So please, here's where I'll talk about self-care. Please see to yourself. If what I just described sounds like you, please see to yourself. And if you need to see a medical doctor or a mental health professional, or reach out to your community of friends, do what you need to do. This is what I think you're responsible and not responsible for related to burnout. And this is where I am an expert, like the one place here that I actually know what I'm talking about. Many of us simply take on too much. We do it ourselves. We take on too much at work and create that unsustainable workload ourselves. We can do it because we care about our teens and we want to do the best for them. We can do it because we're a type A perfectionist. We can do it because we are kind of a control freak and we're not good at delegating. We can do it because we're a pleaser and we have a hard time saying no. If any of that is you, that is on you to kind of reconsider how you're treating yourself and how you're responding to your impulses and the amount of work that you take on. But why I'm a bit uneasy about talking about burnout and self-care together is that something is out of balance when you are doing the library's work and then you have to go home and recover from the work all by yourself. Focusing on self-care implies that it's up to the individual to deal with their own exhaustion and their own overwork and their own burnout. Our workplaces need to protect the well-being of their employees. If you are feeling burned out, please, 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 in addition to any other outside experts that you need to talk to your supervisor or your HR, reach out to your coworkers. Your supervisor or manager or administration needs to support you. They need to prevent overwhelming workloads. They need to be attentive to exhausting or dangerous or traumatizing public service situations. I mean, you are working in public service during a pandemic and people have been walking into your library without masks, coughing and sneezing on you for 2 years. And even before the pandemic, you were in public service and all kinds of things happen in the public library. Administration can't prevent that, but administration can demonstrate that they care about and protect their staff through practices, through policies, through the way that they relate to you. Administration should be open and trustworthy enough so that you can safely and confidently go to someone and say, hey, I really feel burned out on the job here, and know that you're being heard and addressed. If they're not doing those things, they need to take a good look at their behavior and their attitudes as a manager or an administrator. And if they won't do that, then your burnout isn't going to get better. And no matter how much you do for yourself, it's not going to fix the situation. It's not going to fix your burnout. So this is not all on you. If what I just described is you, I'm sorry to say this, but please consider looking for a different job if that's possible. I hope that's not true of anyone here. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. But if it does, please be aware you're too valuable and you're too precious to languish in a workplace that doesn't care to take care of you. If I should be checking my time. Someone's going to have to cut me off if I keep going. I think I'll be okay. If you're a supervisor or a manager yourself, and I know there are some people here who are the people who are reporting to you experiencing burnout? Would they tell you if they're experiencing burnout? Be that person, be that manager, and think about how you can improve their conditions and their workload. So here are some things you can do if you are burned out. To figure out how to give yourself some space. Please take a step back, create some boundaries. I know these are kind of platitudinous things to say, but make some boundaries at work and stick to them. For example, don't check your work email when you're not on the clock. This is something that I've been a librarian for like 30 years, and I'm just now kind of sort of learning how to do. Just you're not going to catch up with your email. You will never catch up with your email. So don't even try. Take all your vacation time, take all your personal time. In addition to not being a medical expert, I'm also not a legal expert. So I don't know whether in Ohio, library workplaces can have a use it or lose it policy. But if your leave is such that if you don't take all your vacation, it goes away, for heaven's sakes, you need to take all that vacation. But even if you can bank it, don't. You deserve your time off. And when you're on vacation, don't do any work. All of this doesn't cure burnout. You can have a beautiful vacation, have a wonderful time, and then when you get back in the office, nothing has changed except that you have 600 new emails that you didn't have before. So it's kind of sort of worse. But vacation has so many other benefits. You need to use your time, and you need to take care of yourself and value and honor yourself. A couple other ways to find respite from burnout: nurture your support network. Take advantage of your friends and mentors. Do things together with other people. Online is okay. In person is better if you can. What may be most important with burnout: any change at the library that addresses something that is stressing you is going to actually make a difference. Remember, burnout isn't caused by you. It's caused by your situation. So you don't need to change. Your situation needs to change. So don't blame yourself. Care for yourself. Support each other. Know that you are valuable and precious, and that the work you do does make a difference. I'll talk about that for just a second. And I'm going to skirt around the concept of vocational awe. That's a topic for another day. Your work is, you guys, you work with the teens, you support the teens, you uplift the teens, you do good work. But the work you do is not the most important thing about you. You are the most important thing about you. So I think I have a couple more minutes. So I'm going to actually be honest and talk a little bit about how to avoid burnout and practice self-care. And like everyone before me, I'm just giving you something that I stole from somebody else, which is my advice, which is this: just ask yourself, how do I want to spend my time? How do I want to spend my time? And then answer that question. And then do all you can do to spend your time the way that you want to. That's really it. That's it. You might not be able to spend all your time the way you want to, but you can do things that are pro you. If you're like, that's it, Janet, I sat through this. Here are some ideas about how you can spend some of your time. Do look for opportunities to connect with people that you care for, people who support you and who are good for you. Look for opportunities to meet new people. There are people out there who are good for you who you don't even know yet. So go out there and find those people. Do fun things. That's kind of, square one, but we don't always think about it. We're like, oh, I'm finished with work and I've got this list of all the tasks that I have to do at home today. Do something fun first, and then you can wash the dishes or do whatever else you need to do. Do good things for other people, acts of kindness. I read recently an article that talked about a study where college students who were set the task of doing 5 good deeds a day had like huge spikes in happiness and optimism. Research indicates over and over that people who volunteer or who just do small kindnesses as a matter of course experience more happiness, more optimism, a greater sense of purpose. These are people who are guarded against burnout. And if you're thinking, five good deeds in a day, that's stressing me out already. I'm going to get burnout from being a nice, kind person. They can be little tiny things. You can text someone, a friend of yours who you haven't talked to or seen for a while. You can leave a note on a coworker's desk, make it a nice note. You can bring in candy for your teens. You can smile at the cashier or the barista and tell them that you hope they have a good day. It's entirely possible that you're the only person that day who bothered to smile at them and say something, because people are extra cranky these days, if you haven't noticed. So you're doing more than avoiding burnout for yourself. You're also avoiding global burnout, and I appreciate you for that. So the last thing, because I'm pretty sure I am out of time, recognize that your work contributes to the well-being of the community that you're working in and the well-being of your library community. All of us here today, I mean, we're a community. We can all hold hands and sing. the growth and empowerment of the individual teens in your community is so much better because of you. Even if you don't think that you've seen them in a while and you don't think you have an impact, I guarantee you, you have helped so many teens in your community as they grow into themselves in wonderful ways. All of that is awesome. But once again, know that you are the one who's valuable and precious. And while your work makes a difference, it is not the most important thing about you. You are the most important thing about you. And that's all you need to know from me. So I'm going to mute and thank you for your time very much. Thanks. And I didn't read any of this chat, so I'll stop and do that now. Thank you for your time. And thank you for being who you are and doing what you do. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Janet. All right, I'm going to stop recording now.